Jiyan is the first limited 5-star of Wuthering Waves and a character that as of this point, probably nobody's going to roll on. Despite all of that, he's been given a really good story quest using themes of resilience and trusting others. Without further ado, this is the story quest Replica of Past Days. This story takes place at the Jinzhou River Games, an event that's hosted occasionally to help the people of Jinzhou relax from worrying about the frequent tacit discord outbreaks. Rover ends up joining this, and they're invited to join a Gulpuff race. For those who might not know, just think of the tacit discord outbreaks as just killing the basic mobs in the game. In these games, Rover is invited to join a Gulpuff relay race, which is a pretty big deal, given the caveat that they need a 4th member. For those who might not know what a relay race is, it's basically a popular part of track and field where 4 runners will pass a baton across the track. Each will run a quarter of the track, usually in a 100-meter sprint. The 1st and 4th leg are the most important as they're the ones who finish the race and start the race. Relay races are usually exciting to watch, and they're often one of the last events hosted at track and field. This is important because Rover plays as the 4th leg and gets Jiyan to play as the 4th member. When it's Rover's turn, they immediately take the lead, but they're ultimately intercepted by something unknown. Before the race can finish, the Gulpuff basically goes haywire and the townsfolk are required to evacuate. Mortefi then contacts Rover and orders them to investigate the source of the anomaly affecting the race. While this is happening, Jiyan has been showing to be very uneasy about everything that's happening, but ultimately chooses not to share this. This isn't unnoticed by Rover as they keep giving Jiyan glances. The River Games are ultimately suspended as Rover and Jiyan go to inspect the source of the anomalies. The source leads to a portal where Rover and Jiyan can hear indecipherable voices. Rover and Jiyan enter the portal, and this leads to a replica of the time where the previous Jinzhou River Games took place. We're now in the alternative world, where much is revealed about Jiyan's character, as well as what happened in the previous river game. Turns out these indecipherable voices were actually tacit discords taking the form of people who were at the previous race. The voices are more directed to Jiyan rather than Rover. This is actually because Jiyan was a key player in the previous relay race, and he actually played as the 4th leg. He revealed that the previous relay race had a tacit discord outbreak similar to the one that took place today, and that one actually resulted in an intense battle. As a result of that battle, Jiyan lost a lot of comrades, and he was now seeing them in this alternative realm. He believed that the people criticizing him were not the people that he knew, but the result of the discords that were replicating them due to the fact that they devoured the fallen soldiers' bodies. Through being devoured, their memories were absorbed and they took the form as possessed ghosts. As Rover and Jiyan go deeper into this world, they eventually hear a bell and decide to follow it. It's also worth noting that in this alternative world, the voices have not gotten quiet. The bell leads them to Nell Square, a place where Jiyan says that a soldier's career begins and ends. We can also see that in Nell Square, the tacit discords are replicating the first lessons that the soldier would experience to pay tribute to the fallen soldiers. This is where we see Jiyan actually show emotion. He's really disturbed by all of this, and Rover eventually urges them to say goodbye and to let go. He does this, and the voices finally stop. With the outbreak solved and the ghosts freed, Rover meets up to say parting words with Jiyan at the real Nell Square. Jiyan gives Rover a seed called Amortia, which is said to represent resilience. These seeds are called Amortia because they are said to mean departure and return. It might be a stretch, but I think that Jiyan's going to die at some point in this story, specifically on the battlefield. This is because he also asks Rover to plant the seed if he ever passed away. The idea of departing and returning is something that all soldiers, including him, will eventually have to face, hence the death flag. The idea and meaning of resilience leaves a lot to be interpreted, and is probably the most open-ended part of this quest. Resilience is often defined as the ability to overcome and withstand something. Multiple conclusions can be made from this. By giving the seed to Rover, Jiyan could be expressing his gratitude for Rover's resilience as a teammate, or if something were to happen to Jiyan, he would likely want Rover to remember him as a resilient soldier. While this character quest is kind of low stakes, there are a lot of parallels and themes which reveal a lot about Jiyan's character. He's the general of the Midnight Rangers and thus obviously has a lot of responsibility. This can be seen in the main story quest where he takes an active role as a leader and fights alongside Rover in Act 6. He's regarded as a reliable leader and has often been shown to know more than he lets on throughout this quest. There's 2 key parallels that take place in this quest, the first being the River Games and the one that happened a decade ago. This really isn't subtle at all, as both have an anticipated relay race that gets cut off at the climax resulting in a fight. Jiyan believed that the voices forces called for him and Rover because they were worried that a similar battle would take place which would cause another genocide. Rover and Jiyan also had the same role in their respective races, the fourth leg, and the deciding factor of the race. Because of what happened in the previous race, it was essential to stop any potential threats that would cause this parallel to become exactly 1-to-1. The other parallel that's prominent in this story is the theme of responsibility, both in sports and in the battlefield. They both require a team to be synergized, but a reality that's always going to take place is that there's usually some people who have more responsibility than others, and sometimes they can let someone else down. There's always a cruel reality in losing something that could have been prevented if things had gone differently, especially for those who bear the weight of that responsibility. Jiyan is a great example of this. He has to deal with the burden of responsibility as a general and as the last leg of a race. He's a key factor in determining the outcome of things around him and is basically irreplaceable. I know it's a stretch, but I really do wonder if he's going to die at some point in the Wuthering Waves story because of the seed he gave Rover. That, or we're probably just never gonna see him again. He's a 1.0 character. He's whatever now. I haven't played PGR yet, so I'm not sure how often Kuro kills off characters, but I can really see him sacrificing himself for the greater good, whatever that may be. I just wanted to also give off some closing thoughts. I really didn't expect to like this quest as much as I did. While I do think Jiyan is a popular character to some extent, he's still a part of a gacha game where people are gonna skim or skip the story. He's also not that great anymore as a character, which is to be expected. However, things were really surprisingly well made and well paced, and also just well thought out. It is clear that whoever wrote his story wanted people to like him, and in some way maybe even relate to him, by creating a parallel between something intense such as battle and something mundane such as a race. Obviously not everyone's a general, but most people have been responsible for someone's success or failure in some way. It almost gives a human element to him and makes him relatively relatable. There was a lot of surprising attention to detail in this story quest, and it was really well named. Again, it's called Replica of Past Days. It's those little attention to details that makes the game all the more better. Thank you for taking the time to watch this analysis on Jiyan's story quest. I really don't know if this is something people care about. I had a lot of fun analyzing the character, even though I know that it's probably irrelevant to anyone else. Thank you so much again for watching, and have a great day.